Thank you for watching, and welcome back to a brand new episode of The Completionist. A few months ago, I got invited out to the grand unveiling event for the Nintendo Switch, with an incredible opportunity to not only interview Miyamoto for a second time, but to speak with Eiji Aonuma, legendary producer of The Legend of Zelda, to discuss the upcoming Breath of the Wild. In that video, we had this exchange.
まず1週間で、全クリは無理です。
I like the challenge.
ぜひチャレンジしてください。
Well, spoilers! He was right. I wasn't able to complete the game in a week. But at the same time, in order to ensure that I was in the right mindset to talk about this game, I worked really hard to make sure that I wasn't just gunning to the end of the journey to make a video or for YouTube views. I relaxed, I took my time, and I made sure that I approached Breath of the Wild as openly as I could. And today, my journey has finally come to an end, where I can officially say yes, I completed The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Let's begin. Yes! Ever since the Wii U's inception, we've seen all kinds of crazy promising footage about a brand new Zelda game. But even before the Wii U was commercially available, there was a tech demo that featured Link fighting Goma, and it looked awesome. And then, we had silence for a while. In that time, a slew of Zelda games have been introduced into the gaming space, and yet still we had no idea what even the name of this new Zelda was. To the point where the Wii U life cycle was coming to an end. That was until E3 of last year when Nintendo finally revealed the new game, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It was essentially the only game Nintendo brought with them to E3, being one of their most successful years at the convention. At first, Breath of the Wild got people worried that it would be similar to that of Skyward Sword with regards to the art style and having a stamina meter. But most of these worries went away after thousands of people got to play the demo. The overall vibe? An open-world Zelda game that would revolutionize the way we even play Zelda. I admit, I was very impressed when I sat down with Reggie and played it, but I still wasn't sold on it. Fast forward to this year, when I went to the Nintendo event in January for the Nintendo Switch, I once again played the exact same demo from E3, and I was getting a little more anxious. We were a month away from the game coming out, and the demo was the exact same as before. But after my interview with Miyamoto and Aonuma, and getting to hear their stories and motivations behind the game in person, it put my worries at ease. The two of them emphasized throughout the entire interview one big important fact. The game is massive, and it's going to take me a lot more than a week to complete. At the very least, my time spent learning and growing with Reggie, Miyamoto, and Aonuma about Breath of the Wild will forever be one of my biggest career highlights. This only happened because of the growing support from you, the audience at home, and truly, I never say this enough, thank you. Nintendo was awesome enough to send me a brand new Nintendo Switch with a copy of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild with all of the brand new amiibo. This is probably the best time to say hashtag not an ad, but in fact, the product was provided to me for free by Nintendo, hashtag free product. As always, I'm very honored and excited to get to work with my favorite company of all time, but I will be as thorough as possible. Since everyone has been boasting this as one of the biggest games of all time, let alone the biggest Zelda, I'm going to have to take a guess and assume it's going to take well over 200 hours to complete. I know there's tons of collectibles, objectives, side quests, outfits, and secrets, so screw it. Let's jump into The Legend of Zelda. At the start of the game, our usual protagonist Link wakes up to a mysterious voice. Already I have to point something out. This is one of the first times ever in which Link is automatically named Link. Zelda games have always been about letting the player name the hero, but given the narrative and approach, they decided to solidify the character with a name. As Link comes to, he steps out of a cryogenic chamber after having been asleep for 100 years. The voice encourages Link to wake up and take the Sheikah Slate out of the pedestal. This tablet is your everything in Breath of the Wild. It'll be your tool to unlock dozens of puzzles, log the enemies and creatures you encounter, and act as your world map viewer. As Link ventures forward to fulfill his destiny within Hyrule, we are then greeted with the opening shot of the game. Holy crap, this all looks so huge! Moments after getting his bearings, Link meets with a character simply named the Old Man, who tells us to climb this massive ancient tower. After Link activates the tower, the Old Man reveals that we are in an area called the Greater Plateau, and if we find these 4 mini-dungeons called Shrines and activate them from within, he will then give you the paraglider that will help you on your journey. Beating these 4 shrines will grant you access to the 4 main abilities in the game that you will consistently be using. The 2 types of bombs, the ability to pick up metal objects, the ability to stop objects, and the power to raise ice pillars from water. This may be one of the best ways I've seen to do a tutorial in a game. Even though this starting area is technically a tutorial, it doesn't feel like one by any means. It just comes off as you jumping into the game properly. After empowering the tablet and solving these 4 shrines, the Old Man wants to meet you at the now decrepit Temple of Time to give you your reward. The Old Man turns out to be the spirit of the King of Hyrule, and his daughter, Zelda, has been entrapped inside of Hyrule Castle, which is being shrouded in darkness and being controlled by an evil being known as Calamity Ganon. It's also revealed that prior to his slumber, Link was Zelda's personal knight who wielded the Master Sword. He, Zelda, the king, and all of the soldiers of Hyrule were meant to stop Calamity Ganon. This fellowship, however, was worried that they would still fail, so they managed to reactivate these ancient mysterious machines known as Guardians in order to fight on their side. Alongside these Guardians were the Divine Beasts, which are basically 4 Zords designed to keep Ganon at bay. These Divine Beasts were piloted by 4 champions, and no, they were not 4 teenagers with attitude. Well, maybe one of them was. It was all for naught, as Calamity Ganon corrupted the Guardians, wiped out thousands of Hylians, defeated the 4 champions, and gained control of their beasts. In the last battle, Link tried to protect Zelda and was badly injured, forcing Zelda to put Link into a deep sleep for 100 years. The mysterious voice guiding us in the beginning of the game is revealed to be Zelda, but unfortunately she's still locked away. Both Zelda and Link needed each other in order to become the characters they are, and it's up to us to not only unite these two, but to take control of the Divine Beasts, empower the tablet, and stop Calamity Ganon's evil reign over Hyrule. Whew! Okay, there is a lot to unpack here, so let's go brick by brick. First off, this is one of the first Zelda games in a while to really take itself into a different direction with regards to repeating history. Given what we've known for years about Zelda games, yes, Link contains the Triforce of Courage, Zelda has the Triforce of Wisdom, and Ganon has the Triforce of Power, but the Triforce itself plays a much less prominent role in the story this time around. And the characters themselves are represented in ways that somewhat buck the trend of traditional Zelda games. For example, Zelda has never been more interesting. Instead of being a magical princess from the get-go, we have a young woman who is struggling with her duty as a princess and her inability to use the ancient powers of her ancestors. And Link's naivety as a knight has never been so apparent. Even the Master Sword isn't as critical to your quest as it's always been. But here's the thing, Hyrule is big. It's the biggest it's ever been. When I interviewed Miyamoto and Aonuma, they explained to me that a player had the ability to fight Ganon from the very start and end the game relatively quickly. But that in itself would be incredibly difficult. They weren't wrong. This game is about learning, growing, making mistakes, growing more, learning more, making a lot more mistakes, and truly becoming a stronger player. And the scope of the map reflects this. If you can see any landscapes within sight, you can get to it. I kid you not, you can go anywhere. Ain't no mountain high enough, Ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep you from getting beat up by a bunch of enraged cuckoos. This really is the biggest Zelda game ever made. It's made more fascinating by the fact that the load times are not that bad in between the various dungeons and minigames. Starting the game up may take a little bit of loading time, but it's loading the entire goddamn map. The environments and their attributes truly have an effect on Link. Mountains may be too cold or too hot to climb unless you have the appropriate gear or potions to suppress the weather changes. Now, early on when the game first came out, one of the big complaints that people tended to forgive in Breath of the Wild was the fact that the FPS would tank from time to time. Since I started making this video, 2 patches have come out that have dramatically decreased the amount of times the FPS drops. Aesthetically, Breath of the Wild is a sight to see through and through, and you'll find yourself truly overwhelmed and immersed into its world. And if you've got the Nintendo Switch version, you've got the ability to enjoy this adventure anytime, anywhere on the go. If you were one of the many fans to have met me at ETSUCon, AODCon, or PAX East, you probably would have seen me diligently completing this game in front of your eyes, and most of you are doing the same thing. For the first time in a Zelda game, we've got animated cutscenes with full voice acting. Not every scene in the game has all of the voices all the time, but I personally feel this was a good choice for the game. I care about Zelda way more because I can see her physically and emotionally emote through her voice. And the other champions and side characters who talk help paint the world, not just for you, the player, but for Zelda and Link with their relationship. Their relationship definitely isn't romantic, it's much more friendship focused, and it needs to be that considering the task that these two have to fulfill. I will say, and maybe a ton of people will really disagree with me on this, but I think it's time to give Link a voice. At least in this game, considering that Zelda has all of these really wonderful moments with Link, and Link just doesn't freaking say anything. And then Zelda reacts as if we heard what Link had said, but what's worse is that in these moments, Zelda doesn't repeat what Link says, so either Zelda is crazy, or Link truly is in shock the entire game. Minor gripes, I know, but gripes nonetheless. One of my personal complaints with Breath of the Wild was the music. Now, I'm not asking for a nostalgic bomb of Zelda tracks. In fact, this game does a great job as to not necessarily depend on its 30-year legacy to musically tell a story. There are a couple of tracks in the game that are from previous Zelda games, and when they appear, I appreciate them wholeheartedly. But I think the problem with the music isn't even in its design or execution. It's the lack of music. I understand that they want the world to feel massive and lush, and not having music, but simply having the sounds of the wild illustrates things in a minimalistic approach that's pretty good. But when I'm riding a horse, I kind of want some adventurous music playing. Music in this game is reserved for combat and cutscenes. Another thing I want to add is that the soundtrack that's included in the collector's edition of the game includes tracks that I'm pretty sure were never actually in the game. I feel like I'm already done with this review, but the reality is we are just getting started. Prepare for quite a battle. The title, Breath of the Wild, reflects the open-world nature of the game pretty well as the relaxed pacing that it affords to its players. Firstly, allow me to make one thing clear. Breath of the Wild is really hard starting out, and I mean really hard. You will be dying a lot, and I want to let you know, you shouldn't feel bad. The nature of this world will be constantly challenging you, and it's up to you to take your time with it. This game is not meant to be rushed. It's not designed to be completed in a week. It's meant to be a long journey, thus why I took my time with it. But at the same time, exactly when your journey comes to an end is always up to you. Equipped with a big time and weather cycle, Breath of the Wild will range from being breathtakingly fun to aggravating, with most of that aggravation pointing back at the player and not so much at the game. Super Meat Boy style, if you will. For you collectathoners out there, there's so much to get, but starting out, let's talk about combat. In my opinion, the Z-Target 3D Zelda combat system has never been better here within the Breath of the Wild. Combat is smooth and precise, with the music telling you exactly how dire the situation is. With that said, you're going to find a lot of monsters in areas you've never been that will one-shot you. You've got small monsters, you've got medium-sized monsters, and then you've got these big boss monsters hanging out, and holy crap, they are huge and scary. Don't panic, they'll see you. But Link is well equipped with dodges and deflection capabilities that make combat feel incredible. There's truly nothing more rewarding than reflecting a laser beam right back into a Guardian's face when you parry right at the perfect moment. Get dunked! A huge change of pace for combat comes in the form of food. I hope you like Iron Chef because you're going to become one. In Breath of the Wild, you are going to become a hunter. Hunting animals, picking up fruit and vegetables, even picking up the insides and parts of your enemies. All of these things can be turned into delicious meals. And these meals not only restore your health, but depending on the combination of items, you can create intricate meals that will add temporary bonuses, such as extra yellow hearts on top of your current life bar, yellow stamina, immunity to hot or cold, and even damage and defense buffs. Be forewarned, you're going to hear that cheerful chime a lot while watching Link cook his meals. Killing monsters takes a ton of work, and depending on your weapons and your skill, you can do some really cool stuff here. It will make you feel like David and Goliath all the time, and that kind of adventuring is real exciting. Taking down a larger stone talus or a Hinox is one of the most satisfying things in the game. But let's say you get thirsty for hunting, or you're trying to hunt down a specific enemy and they won't respawn. Every now and then at midnight, a blood moon will happen. The blood moon respawns every single enemy on the map, which at times can be a bit frustrating, especially when a big enemy reappears after you just knocked him out. Weapon variety is a real big deal in this game. You'll be hoarding as many weapons, shields, and bows as you can. Weapon-wise, you can get all types of short swords, broadswords, elemental swords, spears, pole arms, hammers, mops, oars. There's a lot to use as a weapon in this game. But the coolest thing about all these different weapons is that they have different properties depending on their size and element. Two-handed swords handle much more slowly but do a lot more damage versus a normal sized broadsword or even a short sword, which is really quick. And eventually, as you fight guardians, you'll be taking their limbs and using them as weapons as well. You'll find yourself collecting various weapons and shields and using them to fight the many monsters that appear in the game. But the big caveat? Everything breaks. Every single weapon, shield, and bow breaks. Even the almighty Master Sword has a limited use, which don't worry, as scary as that sounds, it's on a timer and it will come back. And while most people find this incredibly frustrating, I actually really love this mechanic. It consistently challenged me to always be preparing and planning my journey. The trial and error aspect of this game is very prominent here, which is why some select few can just go straight into Hyrule Castle and defeat Ganon right out the gate. But most of us want to physically explore and become the best there is first. I can't believe I'm about to actually say this, but for the first time ever in a 3D Zelda, Link has a dedicated jump button. Not only can he jump, but he can paraglide, swim, and climb any mountain. Any mountain! And attached to all of these limber mechanics is a stamina bar. The stamina bar is your best friend. You'll be staring at this thing the entire time, praying, no, hoping that you can make it to the top of that mountain with almost all of your stamina gone. In my journey, I ran and climbed everywhere. I prefer doing it, but for those of you who want that traditional Ocarina of Time vibe, you can tame horses in Breath of the Wild and put them into stables. There are stables all over Hyrule, and you can switch out horses whenever you'd like. They even have stats and different kind of variances of color too. And don't worry, if your horse dies, you can visit the horse god and bring them back from the dead. Honestly, as cool as these horses are, I rarely use them unless I had to do it for a certain quest or something. With the traditional Zelda format, we are usually given anywhere from 3 to 4 opening dungeons, an inciting incident in which our villain succeeds and puts everyone in peril, and then we've got 6 to 8 more dungeons, all of which are massive and include within them dungeon-specific items, followed by our final dungeon and fight with Ganon. Breath of the Wild? Nope, none of that here. Once you clear the opening section of the Greater Plateau, you've got all of the tools you need to solve every shrine in the game. As you advance in the plot, the image will become clear. You'll also need to enter the divine beasts themselves and take them back over. They are currently corrupted by Ganon, and going inside of them and solving their corrupted puzzles will restore them to working order, while confronting one of Calamity Ganon's corrupted champions. What it boils down to? There's only 4 dungeons in the game. But do not think that this means that this game is a small, disappointing mess. Oh no, there's a lot more here at stake. Remember those shrines that we did? The first 4 of them? That's 4 out of a total of 120 shrines in the game. Shrines can all be solved simply with your weapons, bows, and slate. Using all of your weapons in conjunction with your Sheikah Slate, you'll discover that almost every single shrine has several different solutions for the shrine themselves. And within every shrine, not only do you have to solve all of the puzzles to receive your shrine token, but you have to find all of the chests inside of the shrine. And yes, you have to collect every single chest in every single shrine. It is a part of your completionist journey, and when you have all of the chests, it will be displayed on the shrine in your map. Also, once you discover a shrine and activate it, you can teleport it at any given moment. So if you find a shrine and you're struggling with it and you can't figure out how to do it quite yet, don't worry, you can come back to it at a better time. The surprising thing here is that almost every single shrine feels super unique, giving them a ton of purpose. The shrines themselves are several puzzles in bite-sized form. It's like a puzzle appetizer. And in some cases, it's about just activating the shrine and going inside and claiming your reward. And the journey of opening up the shrine is the puzzle in itself. Sometimes it might be to defeat these really hard guardians, go to an island that strips you of all of your gear, or solve a maze in which it seems impossible to figure out. And with the theme of growth, there's a reason to get all of the shrines. Every time you complete a shrine, you are rewarded with the shrine token. Once you've collected at least 4 of them, you can offer them to the gods, who will then give you a choice of between 1 more heart or expanding your stamina meter. The omission of heart pieces from a Zelda title is shocking, but in this case, it's also refreshing. This entire mechanic fascinates me so much that my initial goal was to activate every single tower and find all the shrines before I even started the plot. And you know what? I'm actually super glad that I did that. I really felt so powerful as I went on, and it forced me to do some impossible battles that I lost over and over again. The Sheikah Slate, which at this point, let's be real, it resembles a Wii U gamepad or a Nintendo Switch, is your Collectathon journal. This item does so many things. It's your UI for the menus, allowing you to keep track of your progress on your world map. It lets you track your main quests, side quests, and shrine quests, giving you hints and pointing out objectives. The slate also gives you access to several different abilities, such as bombs, the power to freeze massive objects in time, magnetic forces, and the ability to create ice pillars from water. And as you progress from within your side quests, you get to a point where you can update the tablet. You can make everything last a lot longer, increase the range of usage, and you can take photos for your Hyrule Compendium. This game just became Breath of the Wild Snap.
You were close.
Yeah, you can take selfies or take photos of characters, but when you take photos of weapons, animals, or monsters, they're added to your compendium's log, and you can attach them to your sensor in your slate, and from that moment on, you can track down the subject of your photos. I wish I could say that this is the end of a completionist's journey in this game, but we've got a lot more to talk about. The narrative in Breath of the Wild and how I explained it seems pretty straightforward, but a lot of the ins and outs in regards to when and where things took place actually ends up being all over the place. More specifically, you'll find some random locations that will trigger Link to have a memory about him, Zelda, sometimes other champions, or maybe the King of Hyrule. These memories are all optional to find, however, finding them all is crucial to completing the game. In your slate, you are given a clue as to where the location is, so use your judgment to try and find those exact locations to get Link to remember his missing links in his past. One of my biggest issues with the game's progression of things to do is the side quests. There are some side quests in the game that lead to some cool progression for our hero Link. Link can buy a house or help rebuild a village, but almost every side quest in the game doesn't really get you anything more than rupees. And yeah, rupees are hard to come by in the game, but along with side quests, the minigames also lack some depth. Personally, I wanted more bang for my buck in regards to what I received for completing side quests and minigames. They seemed a little lackluster is all, and I wish a bit more depth went into their design. From within our years of playing Zelda, we've known Link to wear tunics and sometimes some weird costumes. But with Breath of the Wild, you are going to be collecting a lot of outfits, and all these outfits have different stats, mostly that of being defense. The higher the defense, the less damage you take. But all of the different outfits end up helping you in weather-intense environments. If you want to swim better in Zora's Domain, you've got the Zora's outfit, or if you want to survive Death Mountain, you'll need the big old heat-resistant suit. Or maybe you're just freezing your butt off in the cold mountains. Better grab some snow gear. Some of the gear also provides special bonuses, such as being able to climb walls better or doing more damage overall. But that's not all. As you travel throughout Hyrule, you'll find the Great Fairy Fountains. 4 of them to be precise. Side note, the Great Fairies in this game look awesome. And their entire purpose in the game is to upgrade your gear. You can level almost every piece of armor in the game up to 4 times. When you level up a matching set up to level 2, you'll get a special suit bonus, and if you max out to level 4, you'll get an even bigger bonus. However, upgrading the outfits is no easy feat, because oh my goodness, every single thing in this game is practically required in massive quantities in order to upgrade every piece of armor. I'm talking hundreds of pieces of different minerals, jewels, fruits and vegetables, animal parts, monster parts, and so much more. This is about as much as we can do with armor crafting, and while I recommend doing the sets that are important to you as soon as possible, upgrading everything will take more time from you than solving all the shrines and then some. If you thought the shrines were enough, oh boy, get your climbing gear on, folks, because the most evil thing in this game that will make you cry each and every time are, in fact, what might be the cutest little guys in the goddamn game. Koroks. Well, the Koroks are the tree people of the Great Deku Tree. They're little green creatures that are always playing hide and seek with you. In Kakariko Village, you'll find a big one of these guys who is missing his maracas. If you help him find them, he will offer you a reward in the form of expanding your item slots. See, the maracas have no seeds in them, and this big guy here loves to dance, but he can't dance if his maracas don't have seeds. Every time you find a Korok, they will give you a Korok seed. The process of finding the Koroks themselves is very, very tedious. There are literally a dozen different ways to find a Korok, and most of them involve simply picking up a weird shaped looking rock. Finding the Koroks themselves are a puzzle. Some will require you to use your magnetic powers on the metal block to arrange it correctly. Some involve you having to race from point A to point B. Exchange the seeds to the big guy, and he'll perform a dance for you and upgrade either your weapon, bow, or shield slots one at a time. Now, normally, I wouldn't mind these types of collectathons, especially since, yes, one could argue they help Link become stronger, and I am so down for that. But there's 2 issues here. 1, there's no way to track down all of the Korok seeds naturally. There are no in-game guides or hints to lead you to the Koroks. It's impossible. You have to use a guide. Sure, you'll maybe find 50 or 100 on your own, but therein lies my second issue. Go ahead. Go ahead. Ask me how many Korok seeds there are in the game. Do it. I dare you. I double dog dare you, whatever the hell that means. You know what? You're not gonna tell me? No, I'll just tell you. 900! 900 Korok seeds! There are 900 Korok seeds in the game! Game plan time! Alright, boys. Here's the game plan. This right here is our war zone. We got shrines, we got Koroks, we have Amiibo. Here's the plan. I'm gonna start with the Koroks in Death Mountain. I'm gonna get to Death Mountain and work my way all the way around down to Zora's Domain. Now, Ted, in case of emergency, check on me every few hours. If I am dead, I'm sorry to everyone. You know what to do. Pat, cancel everything. Birthdays, funerals, weddings, my own personal life, everything.
No problem. We'll break up with your girlfriend. We'll change your name to Gerard Rico and move you to Ohio. I hear they have Google Fiber there.
Google Fiber, that's genius!
Wait,
I will be
slow down,
immortal!
slow down. Hold on. You realize we're all talking about a game here, right? This isn't real life. This isn't that serious. This is a video game. You're not supposed to abandon your family and responsibilities for this. This is nothing. Plus, don't you enjoy Legend of Zelda? Why are you going to this with like a map and like a battle plan? You're gonna spoil everything for yourself.
You're right. Brett's right, you guys.
Thank you.
You know, I don't know, I get so into this, and, you know, now that everyone watches the show so much, it's the completionist journey and everything, I don't want to disappoint everyone.
We've always been proud of you, Peter.
Well, yeah, look, it's all right, man. Look, we'll take it fresh. We'll start from step one. You understand what I'm saying? It'll be all right.
Step one is find all 900 Koroks!
Gerard, come on.
Get away from me!
We just talked about this.
This is your fault.
I didn't want
It is your fault.
No,
Breath of the Wild, like Super Mario Maker, embraced amiibos head-on in a big way. Every single amiibo to date is compatible with Breath of the Wild, including the Animal Crossing and Mario Sports amiibo cards, which if you're an amiibo enthusiast like myself, you'll really benefit with the amiibo in receiving things like fruits, vegetables, meats, rupees, and so much more. Using the Zelda-specific amiibo gives specific benefits, such as weapons and shields from previous games, Epona from Ocarina of Time, and one of the coolest benefits of all of the outfits for Link from the various Zelda games. I'm talking Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, and Wind Waker. And based on the hackers of the world and recent announcements, we know that Majora's Mask and Skyward Sword outfits are coming shortly. There's so much to do and see in Breath of the Wild. And while I was playing the game, I was marveling at everything I came across. I was truly blown away at the scope. But this game doesn't make it on my personal list of top 3 Zelda games. Now, why is it not in my top 3? One word: rain. I hate the rain mechanic. The rain makes me want to yell. It makes me want to cry. It makes me want to scream and smash things into the ground. Holy crap, the rain will drive you insane, I promise you this. It seems like it's always raining all the damn time, or it starts raining right when you're trying to do something really important. Why is rain the problem? Because at every corner of every Korok, shrine, side quest, main quest, or minigame comes the evil flood of rain. Rain makes it impossible for you to get around or climb on anything. And when you start that big climb to an impossible cliff in front of you and it rains, you start slipping. You start slipping so fast, your endurance drains out, and you stress out. Okay, calm. Let's take a relaxing break and think calmly and approach the rain correctly. Come on in light! Come on! I had almost climbed this cliff and then it had to rain. Had some momentum along with my grip, but then it rained. My stamina's all gone, I'm slipping away. All because it rained, all because it rained, all because it rained. Come on, out of nowhere! No, I'm gonna make no! Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you not entertained? Most of you probably aren't, but either way, this genuinely may be one of the most exhausting games I've ever played with regard to being a completionist. So, let's go. First and foremost, yes, the Master Sword and the Hylian Shield are both in the game. They're not really required in terms of plot, but they are here for nostalgic purposes. The Master Sword makes the fights with the Calamity Ganon champions really easy. Getting the sword will take some time, but you also need a minimum of 13 hearts to claim the sword for yourself. After taking over a divine beast, you are given a special move from one of the 4 spirits of the champions. Mipha gives you a full revive, Daruk gives you a shield, Urbosa lets you create a lightning sphere of destruction, and Revali lets you fly with your paraglider by launching you up into the sky. These 4 skills are awesome and will help you on all of your major collecting journey, especially the wind gust for the paraglider. If monsters are giving you a hard time, there's a secret masked gentleman in the game you can purchase all kinds of crazy items from. More specifically, he's got masks of all of the enemies in the game. When you wear these masks, it makes you allies with the monsters. Fun little stuff that can surely become costly. This weird guy has a lot more going on for him than he lets on though. Once you beat the game, revisit him and he'll give you the task of hunting down and destroying Hinoxes, Stone Taluses, and Molduga the Sand Beast. He wants you to hunt down all of their known locations. Doing so will grant you medals which act as proof that you did in fact kill them all. However, after you've collected all these medals, you can purchase a Dark Link Tunic set. Unfortunately, you can't upgrade the set, but hey, it's better than just those medals. If you collect all 12 memories that Link shared with Zelda, it will be revealed that there is in fact a 13th memory. These memories lead up to the final events of a last battle, in which Zelda gained access to her powers, protecting Link, who was protecting her, and then she put him into the cryogenic chamber. Doing all of this will reveal the true ending. If you choose to beat the game without the memories, a scene will take place in which Zelda questions if Link truly remembers her and what they've been through together. Let's talk about them beautiful big old shrines and their awesome tokens. First off, collecting all of the shrine tokens in this game creates a bit of a problem. You've got two choices, maxing out all the stamina or maxing out all of the hearts. There aren't enough shrines in the game to give you a full set of 30 hearts or 3 full stamina wheels. You have to decide. So, me personally, I decided to go with the 27 hearts and 3 full stamina bars, just because I knew that the stamina would eventually pay off in the end. Collecting all of the shrines in the game will lead to one final visit to a shrine located in a certain ruin. When you approach it, you'll be rewarded with the Tunic Set of the Wild. This essentially is a tunic set from the very first Legend of Zelda game, and it's one of the most difficult items in the game to max out completely. Speaking of which, you all should never max out all of the gear in the game. Dear God, I cannot stress that enough. It is awful, especially for all of you who want to complete everything and you've got Amiibo. Here's the deal. There are these shooting stars that appear randomly from the sky, and they are called star fragments. Star fragments are the most difficult item in the game to collect, as you need to wait randomly for them until midnight and then look around and hope that they show up. And when they do show up, you've only got so much time to then run and get them before they disappear. What makes them the worst item in the game is that in order to max out some of the best gear, you need a lot of star fragments. What makes that even worse is if you want to upgrade all of your Amiibo, which all require 1 star fragment per level, you'll have to wait around and farm a lot more star fragments. I farmed well over 60 star fragments, and the amount of research and execution and pain that went into this, oh God, I had the hardest time getting the game to just bend to my will, and let's just say it was excruciating. Speaking of excruciating, see, wasn't that a good transition? I thought so. Upgrading every piece of equipment in the game does absolutely nothing. Now, are you ready for similar stories like this one? Good, because doing all the side quests nets you horse equipment for all of your horses if you choose to do so. Let's go a little bit deeper. Did you remember to fill up your entire Hyrule Compendium? I did. I got all 385 items filled in with it. And what do you get? An envelope that has a photo of young Impa within it that acts as proof that you accomplished that feat. So essentially, you got nothing. Let's take it even further. The Korok Seeds. What do you get when you get all the Korok Seeds? What do you get when you get all 900 Korok Seeds? Go ahead, take a guess. No, don't worry, I'll do it for you. You get a golden piece of shit. Aside from maxing out all of your holding space, you get a golden piece of poo that acts as your proof that you did it. Why? Bragging rights. Yay! Just, why couldn't have you given me some mercy on this game, guys? Oh, it's not over. Oh no, it's not over, I forgot. Guys, when you beat the game, you acquire a percentage meter on your map, and the percentage meter is your completion for the Sheikah Plate and the map objectives. Now, this includes finding all the shrines, Koroks, memories, doing everything in the goddamn game, including discovering all of the subsidiary names on the map to make sure you found every single location. Guess what happens when you get 100%? Survey says... nothing! 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 I'm sorry. I need to breathe. Okay. I'm good. Here's the deal, game. You presented me with an incredible gaming challenge that was going to change everything, and people will love this game for many, many years. And you challenged completionists out there to set aside hours and hours of insane gameplay tasks, and you reward us with nothing. Nothing at all. How about that top-down demo you showed us at GDC for Breath of the Wild? How about a screen that says, "Thank you so much for playing our game"? Something. Anything. To give us nothing for completing a massive game when the game is clearly pointing out to you, hey, it's important that you unlock and complete everything. Makes me super sad. And you know what the saddest thing about this all is? Transition number 2 for the win. They're releasing DLC. Now, I love DLC. I embrace it, and I am ready for our DLC lords. But apparently, the DLC is going to be hard mode, which means I will probably have to redo all of this all over again on the hardest setting. I thought this game was already on hard mode because of the rain! Sorry about that. In my playthrough of Breath of the Wild, there were 120 shrines collected, in which in turn gave me 27 hearts and 3 full stamina wheels, 88 outfits obtained and upgraded, minimally requiring me to farm at least 60 star fragments amongst thousands of other materials, 900 pieces of golden poo, 385 items logged into the Hyrule Compendium, 132 quests completed, 13 memories collected, over 240 hours or more of total playtime according to my Nintendo Switch, and thousands of times in which I fell off a cliff while I was climbing it because it started to rain. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was a fantastical journey that I hope you all eventually will go on. It's filled with hours and hours and hours of content, being literally one of the biggest and most important games in Zelda's history. I know I didn't give my theory on where this falls in the timeline, and frankly, I'm not that kind of guy, but given that we get a tunic set of the Wild that's based off of Zelda 1, I'd like to think in some essence it's kind of a reimagining of the first game. But whatever. It's not important to me. I had an awesome time from start to finish, up until upgrading all of the gear, the Korok seeds, and the rain. Oh, the rain. Casual players of this game will enjoy this game through and through. Completionists? You know what? I gotta think about it. I got a lot to think about. I need some time. I think I can honestly come to the conclusion that The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is worth the wait. I am so happy this game is here. It changes so much about what we know of the series while evolving in new ways that's never been done before for the franchise. Everyone will say, well, that mechanic or that thing's been around for years in gaming. That may be true, but here in Zelda, in Hyrule with Link and Zelda, we have a whole new experience with them in regards to gameplay, design, everything overall. And on the Nintendo Switch, you can take it anywhere you'd like, and that to me is a huge plus. However, the caveat of all this, if you're me, if you're a completionist out there, if you're anyone who likes to take on the challenge of doing all these things, it's exhausting. It's very, very exhausting to the point where it gets unfun. Is unfun not a word? I'm not sure. It may be a word. Either way, I really don't recommend going down that journey. All of the shrines, I get it. All of the memories, totally understand. The weapons to have? Sure, why not? Everything else, pick your poisons. I really don't recommend it. So with that in mind, guys, I'm going to give this game my completionist rating of finish it.
Finish it!
That's all the time we have for today, guys, so please, as always, let me know about today's episode somewhere on the internet. Hey, this is a long video. It took a lot of man-hours in production. I want to say a quick thank you to Ace Waters, who made the music for Because It Rained, Luke Youngtown for helping me come up with those lyrics and training me on how to dissect that. I want to thank Pat and Brett and everyone in the office, Bradley and Ted and Alex, for really sticking in with this on me. This was a big production that really stopped how we flowed as an office. and we just came together to make this, and I hope you guys like this video. If you do like this video, give it a thumbs up, let us know in the comments below. And hey, if you missed last week's episode on Pikmin, you can give that a click right here. If you're new here and you like what you saw, I make these videos like this every week, every Friday, and to make sure that you're around for those, hit the subscribe button underneath in the boxes below as well. That's it, that's all guys. I'll see you all next week. Bye.